Welcome piano teachers. My name is Nicola Canton from colourfulkeys.ie and vibrantmusicteaching.com, and in this video I want to talk you through Sonatina in G. This is by Beethoven and it's around a grade 3 standard. So I've given you a sheet to work through these exercises. You can grab it totally free if you just click on the link below this video. I highly recommend you grab this because I've written out the technical exercises we're working through here and given you notes about how we're using them and why. So that's a really handy sheet and that's what we'll be working through in this video. The first exercise on this sheet works on the chord shapes, and what I've done is made them into actual chords. It's an Alberti based pattern in the piece, but I've turned them into chords for the first part there. You can use your fingering of choice that you're going to have your student use in the piece, and then they play that directly after in the actual pattern that's in the piece. Maybe you're going to do that. Maybe you're going to do what I did a minute ago. The fingering is up to you and I haven't written it in for that reason, but getting them to play these chords will help them to understand that these are not individual bits. They are not individual notes that you have to figure out. Each one is one thing. It's a chord, and you can even write in the chord symbols if your student is familiar with some theory behind that. Write in the chord symbols on this sheet, and that'll help them to know, this G major, G7, and they're working through in that way. And then when it comes to practicing this actual pattern, what you want to emphasize is to try not to get the bottom note too loud, because that's really what's going to make this piece sing. If we can get that left hand even and sing out the top notes, because those are what changes, right? So we don't want... How horrible does that sound? We want it to be more even, and you might even get them to play the top notes louder for a few goes, just to get used to that balance. You could even write in accents for them and then rub them out later. But the main thing is to get that even and to emphasize those shapes. Now, I haven't given you all of these types of patterns that are in the piece. If you just do those four, those are the four that occur a couple of times. Then when it comes to the other patterns, which are a little bit different, they're not quite Alberti. It's actually... they're more just arpeggiated. They're still going to be hopefully thinking in block chords, and you can get them to try that in the piece. So I would introduce all of these technical exercises, or one at a time, without even showing them the actual repertoire, the actual piece, and then get them to do them within the context of the piece. So the next technical element that I would pull out from this one is the accacciatoras, and here I've had them go up the whole scale. This is also good because they're getting into the scale of the piece, into the key of the piece. It's in G major, so we've used the full G scale here. So the exercise just goes... Now here, when I get to this point, I've used 4, not 3. That's because this is what happens in this piece. This one actually occurs. And then I have them hop up to this one. You get the idea. It modifies slightly at the end. That's to match what happens in the piece, and it just helps them to practice that in advance of meeting it in the music with everything else going on, right? And then the last technical exercise I've given you here is this arpeggio pattern that happens several times so that we can practice the slur. The slur is something that I hear neglected all the time, and it sells everything. It can make so much of the piece sing if you do your 2 and 3 note slurs properly, but often they're just ignored completely. So getting your student to get this down up motion, if they haven't met it before, I would actually do this on a closed piano lid. Get them to do the down up, just with all their fingers together at first, and then try individual fingers. So down up, whatever fingers you want, just specify. 1, 3, 2, 4, and practicing that down up motion so that they can unlock their wrist if it's a bit stiff. And then trying this, only this first one happens in the piece, but I've given you 3. if my student is not getting that gesture, I'll be saying down, up, down, up, down, up. And then I've given you one in D as well. And you can choose the fingering if you're going to want to change it in the piece, then I would do that at this stage. I haven't written in fingering for you here, but I would generally have my students do whatever they do for arpeggios. So if they are using some different fingering for arpeggios, go with that. If they're doing 3, 2, 2, 1, then do that. I've given you it in G major, C major and D major just to get us acclimatized with the piece, using the tonic, subdominant and dominant chords, since those will happen a lot of the time, although it only happens, I believe, in G. Or there's variations on the pattern. So it's always a good idea to practice these things in different places. So once they've done all that technical preparation, they are well prepared for this actual piece. Just get them to find the things they already know about in that piece, get them to block out those chords that we were talking about before that aren't in these set of exercises, and they should be so much more successful if you put in this preparation work in the beginning. So once again, you can download that sheet if you want it. It's directly below the video. I hope you have fun with it, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments below.